Right, chapter 22, a victim of treachery. Right, go to page 173. 173. The morning after that combat means fight, Hugo got up with a heart filled with vengeful purpose against the king. Underline. Now Hugo has vengeful, revengeful, hateful purposes, ideas against the king. He had two plans in particular. I told you, Hugo plans the prince's destruction, ruin. What are the two plans? One was to inflict upon the lad with what would be to his proud spirit and imagine royalty a peculiar humiliation. One plan is to bring some humiliation, insult, shame on the prince's proud character. How? In some way, to insult the prince's proud character, his arrogance. That is the plan one. And if he failed to accomplish this plan, this one, his other plan was to put a crime upon the king. To make the prince a criminal, second plan. To make the prince a thief, criminal, and then betray him. Let him be caught by the law. To hand him over to the law. Then the prince would go into prison. Right? They are the two plans. This is how Hugo is going to take revenge from this little boy. Now we'll see if these plans work. In pursuance of the first plan, he proposed to put a climb upon the king's leg. Climb. Rightly judging that would mortify him to the last perfect degree. And as soon as the climb should operate, he meant to get Canty's help and force the king to expose his leg in the highway and beg for alms. Climb. Climb is some chemical substance, chemical paste. Now this chemical paste or substance is used to create some ulcer or wound in the prince's leg, rightly judging that would mortify him, hurt him, insult him to the last, and mortify means give him pain, to the last and perfect degree. As soon as the climb should operate, when this climb should come to operate, he meant to get Canty's help and force the king to show his leg. Now, as a result of effect of this climb, the prince's leg will have a large, very hideous, ugly wound, ulcer, in the highway and beg for alms. Climb was the cant term for sow. A sow. Sow means if you remove your skin, there is a sow, a wound, bruise, artificially created. To make a climb, to make this chemical substance, the operator made a paste or poultice of unslaked lime. They use raw lime, calcium carbonate, soap, and the rust. They are the three substances used to make this climb. Rust of iron, and spread it upon the piece of leather, which was then bound tightly upon the leg. When this climb is ready, now you can see how Hugo and the tinker, how they tie the climb on the prince's leg to make a big sore, big wound. This wound is used to beg money by the street. Piece of leather which was then bound tightly upon the leg, this would presently fret off. Fret off means remove the skin and make the flesh raw. When the skin is removed, there would be raw flesh. Raw. Flesh means meat. And angry looking. It would have very ugly look. Blood was then rubbed upon the limb, then some blood from animals rubbed upon, apply upon the limb, the leg, which being fully dried, when it is dried, it took a dark and repulsive color, ugly color. Then a bandage of soiled rags was put on, then a bandage, dirty rags, ragged bandage is put on careless way, cleverly, very cleverly, careless way, which would allow the hideous ulcer. Ulcer means wound or sore. Hideous, this ugly, dangerous ulcer to be seen and move the compassion of the passerby. Now this is the first plan. Now we see if it works. Hugo got the help of Tinker. Whom the king had cowed with his soldering iron. They took the boy out on tinkering tramp, and as soon as they were out of sight of the camp, they threw him down, and Tinker held him while Hugo bound the poultice tight upon the prince's leg. Now this is what they do. Hugo ties the poultice upon the prince's leg, and Tinker is holding down the prince. Right? Now king is very angry. Very angry. The king raged and stormed. He fought and promised to kill the two the moment the scepter means power. The moment the power was in his hand again. But they kept firm grip upon him and jeered at his threats, laughed at his threats. This continued until the poultice began to bite. Now, poultice began to bite, eat the skin. Now, those chemical substances, they react now. They begin to react, destroying, eating the prince's skin. Now, it is very painful. It burns the prince's skin because of the heat. This continued until the poultice began to bite, and no long time, its work would have been perfected if there had been no interruption. But there was some interruption. Somebody comes to save the prince. That is the slave, you may remember Yokel. The slave, the farmer. He comes to the scene, who had made a speech denouncing English law, appeared on the scene and put an end to the enterprise, this job. He ended this enterprise, this work, stripped off, removed the poultice and bandage. Now finally the prince's leg is rescued, saved by Jokel. And they are taken to Ruffler again. Then the first plan goes wrong. First plan fails. Then the plan B. Let's see how plan B works. Right. Go to page 175. 175. Very well. All in good times, Hugo strolled off to neighboring village with his prey. Now, Hugo takes the prince the second day to a nearby village with his prey. Prey means the prince. And the two drifted slowly up and down the street. Now they drifted. Drifted means moved up and down the street. One after another. The one watching sharply for sure chance to achieve this evil purpose. Now Hugo is looking for a chance to achieve his evil purpose, and the other watching as sharply for a chance to dart away, escape from. The prince is looking for a chance to escape and get free of this infamous bad captivity forever. Now the prince is looking for a chance to escape again from Hugo. Hugo is looking for a chance to put the prince into prison as a criminal. Now let's say who wins. Right? Go to next page, 76, 176. Hugo's chance came first. First, Hugo's chance comes. For at last, a woman approached. A woman came who carried a fat package of some sort of basket. A woman came with a basket. In the basket, there is a package, parcel. Now, Hugo's plan is to steal this parcel from the woman. Hugo's eyes sparkled with sinful pleasure, and he said to himself, "Oh, breath of my life, and if I can put that upon him, if I can put that parcel upon this boy, it is good then, and God keep this good woman, and God will protect you." Then means woman. King of the game cocks. You can see Hugo's jealousy, hatred. He waited and watched, outwardly patient but inwardly consuming with excitement, till the woman had passed by. When the woman passed Hugo, he stole the parcel. He snatched away the parcel. And the time was ripe, then said in a low voice, "Tarry here." He asks the prince, "Stop here, wait here, till I come again." And darted means walked, darted behind the woman. Darted behind the woman. Now you can see how Hugo goes after the woman to steal the parcel. Okay. Right. The king's heart was filled with joy. Now king is very happy because he can escape now, because Hugo is far away from him. But he has no chance. He was to have no such luck. Hugo crept behind the woman. Crept means walked behind the woman, snatched the package, took the parcel, snatched the package, and came running back, wrapping it an old piece of blanket. He covers it with a piece of blanket which he carried on his arm. The hue and cry, great noise, cry, shout was raised in a moment by the woman who knew her loss by the lightning of her burden. The woman comes to know that her parcel has been stolen because there is lightning of her burden. There is no burden in the basket. Although she had not seen pilfering. Pilfering means the stealing done. She does not see who steals her parcel. It is done by Hugo, but unfortunately the prince is caught. Hugo thrust the bundle into the king's hand. He puts the bundle into the king's hand without halting, without stopping. Now king has the parcel. Hugo runs away. He says, now speedy after me, come after me with the parcel. You have to say, stop thief, stop thief. Mindy lead them astray. Lead them astray. Astray means mislead them. Right? Now Hugo runs away. The unfortunate, unlucky prince does not run away because he does not know the grave effect. He is caught by Hugo's plan. Plan B works well. The next moment, Hugo turned a corner and darted down, went down a crooked alley. Crooked alley, indirect, not very direct, and secret path and infamous alley. And in another moment of two, he launched into the view again. He came into the view looking innocent and indifferent. Now he is looking at the prince as if he does not know anything from his hiding place. Took up position behind a post to watch the result. Now what happens to the prince? You know, this innocent prince is taken as a prisoner. The insulted king threw the bundle on the ground and the blanket fell away from it. Just as the woman arrived, with an argument crowd at his heels, he ceased. She ceased. She caught the king's wrist hands with one hand, snatched up the bundle, took the bundle with the other, and she began to pour tirade of abuse, blame, serious blame upon the boy. She begins to blame the boy for stealing her parcel. Now the prince is a thief. The prince is a thief. Actually, he does not steal anything, but he has the stolen items, goods in his hand. He is logically the thief. Hugo's plan B works well. Now what happens? All people get around the prince. There is a thief. The king continued to struggle in woman's strong grasp, hold, and now and then cried out in vexation. In anger, he says, unhand me, let me go, thou foolish creature. It was not that I bereaved thee of thy paltry goods, your useless goods. I did not take your useless goods. I am not a thief. Right? The crowd closed around, threatening the kings and calling him names. Now people are gathering around the prince. He has no escape now. A brawny blacksmith, very hardy, very big blacksmith, iron worker, in leather apron and sleeves rolled up to his elbows, made reach for him, came to him, saying he would trounce him well, teach him well. A lesson. Trounce means beat. He will beat him as a lesson for stealing, not to steal again. Just then a long sword flashed. At the same moment, there was a shining sword. That is Miles Hendon. Miles Hendon comes to save the prince with convincing force upon the man's arm, flat side down. The fantastic honor of its remarking pleasantly at the same time. He says, Mary, good souls, good people, let us proceed gently. Let's do this gently, not with ill blood, anger, hatred, uncharitable, merciless words, violent words. This is matter for the law's consideration. Let's take the matter to the law. Now Hendon knows that there is no escape. Now Prince is a thief, not private and official handling. Loose thy hold from the boy, good wife. Hendon says, please. Now you can see how Hendon comes and rescues the boy after a long time. But They directly go to the judge, the court, to solve this matter. He is a thief now. At the end, Hugo's plan B works well. The prince is a criminal now. Criminal. Okay. Let's write down the comment for that part. Next paragraph. Next paragraph. After the combat, with Hugo, the prince earns the prince earns the prince earns a heroic name. Prince earns a heroic name and place among the tramps. Out of jealousy and hatred. Out of jealousy and hatred. Out of jealousy and hatred. Hugo makes some plans. Hugo makes some plans to destroy Prince. To destroy Prince. The first plan is the first plan is to make the prince a beggar boy, to make the prince a beggar boy, creating an ugly looking SORE, an ugly looking saw in his leg, and to use him begging money by the street. However, this first plan fails. This first plan fails because the prince is rescued by the slave yokel. Slave yokel. Full stop. However, Hugo has a second plan too. In case the first plan fails. In case the first plan fails. The second plan is to make the prince a criminal. To make the prince a criminal and to hand him over to the law. Over to the law. Full stop. The second plan works well. The second plan works well. Hugo, full stop. Hugo steals a parcel. Hugo steals a parcel from a woman. Hugo steals a parcel from a woman and hands it over to the prince. And runs away. Full stop. The prince is caught by the woman. The prince is caught by the woman as the thief of her stolen parcel. Of her stolen parcel. Indeed. 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 The prince is not the real thief. The prince is not the real thief, but logically he is the thief. Prince is not the real thief, but logically he is the real thief because he has the stolen goods or stolen parcel. Because he has the stolen parcel. At this moment, Hendon also appears. Hendon also appears, but the prince is arrested. But the prince is arrested for stealing a parcel from a woman. For stealing a parcel from a woman. The innocent prince becomes a victim of Hugo's evil plan. Hugo's evil plan. Okay.